All right, everyone. You with us, the 12th Man 12th Man podcast lads. We are available on Twitter, as I just messed up there. So you've got me, Dan Chapman. You've also got JD, John Donovan, sat in his garden. All right, John.
Very good, thank you.
We've also got Josh Jones. Josh.
Oh, then.
We've got Phil Martin.
No one.
We've got Jack Grealish. Jamie Dalgano. He needs a proper COVID cut. Then we've got the train master down at the bottom on the railway line, Steve Jackson.
Controller.
So, you all right, Steve?
Yeah, sounds, yeah.
Right, just a quick cap of how everyone is this week. All being busy.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not taxi drivers.
Nope.
So, yeah, nice warm week. Look forward to, and then obviously the big game at the weekend, Swansea. Swansea's just beat, and then Stoke City away next weekend.
Do you want to start again?
None of us are travelling down there, unfortunately, as much as we'd all love to go. So, lads, what's everyone been up to?
You've just asked us, huh?
Just trying to get over Saturday.
Trying to get over Saturday.
I've been at work, and then today the new news broke, and I'm sure we'll touch on that possibly later.
Aye. So if people don't know, you can get at us on the Facebook page, which we're live through the Red Army at the moment, and then we've got our own Facebook page. We're also get at us on our Twitter page, which is the 12th Man Twitter. We had a poll up there earlier on, which we are going to touch on, but give us your match reviews on some of the comments. I know Steve Jackson put his smoggy on Twitter. He put a post up straight after Saturday's game, wanting reactions, and the 12th Man did retweet it. So get on that, get your comments read out. Lads will discuss it. So, lads, straight into the first game back after the coronavirus, which was Swansea at home. We got beat 3-0. Josh, what changes would you have made?
Well, it kicked off at 12:30. So at 12 o'clock, I decided to have a quick glance at the team, and all the hope of Project Restart just drained from my body at 12 o'clock, looking at a team selection that I don't think we've ever seen a team selection like that all season. It just didn't seem right with everything that we'd been sort of promised during the lockdown. We were expecting Patrick Roberts to come back. Obviously, we had Fletch and Assombalonga on the bench, which is over 150 championship goals, and we got 8 games to stay up. And I just thought the front two pairings sort of it set the mood for the day. I think I was reading on Twitter straight away that everyone was shocked at the team selection. I just didn't get the shape. I didn't get the personnel in the team, and then it all panned out in the first half that it just didn't work. I don't know what you lads think, but the team selection for me was all wrong.
Phil, when you seen the team come through, what was your thoughts?
Me?
Yeah, Phil.
I thought the Bongo would be an opening Friday night or something, I swear to God. Seriously, what was the man thinking? It was just ridiculous, man. Like, you were kidding yourself if you even thought we were going to get a point out of it.
I know in our group chat, Jamie made a valid point about the subs bench. You thought he'd got the team selection the wrong way around.
Ridiculous, mate.
100%. I thought he got the team selection the wrong way around. I thought someone had filled that sheet in completely the wrong way around. All season we've been looking at the bench, and it's never really been a strong bench. I think it's the strongest bench I've ever seen. If you'd have gone around everyone in Middlesbrough, if you'd have gone around everyone in Middlesbrough and said, there's your fit and available squad, pick 11 players for the Swansea game, nobody would have picked that 11. Nobody. It just wouldn't have happened. My missus was laughing at me before the game. I was walking around the house, stomping, slamming doors, being a bit grumpy. Should we haven't even kicked off yet? I said, but the writing's on the wall. So the team selection was baffling. The back four, I think at the time I was looked at and thought, okay. But then you look at, I just don't get the formation, the 4-3-3, whatever it is he's playing. It just didn't make sense to me, if I'm honest with you.
JD, how did you feel first half? Obviously going 3-0 down in the first half.
Well, first of all, seeing the team sheet, I was driving at the time and I had BBC Radio T's on it. They read out the team and I didn't get it. I didn't know where it come from. It was so sort of left field. And my heart sunk because, 9 games, that's all we've got left to save our skin. And that was an absolutely ridiculous starting 11. I couldn't believe it, but I was hopeful that, the team would start brightly and do well. Anyway, that just didn't happen. It was the worst performance of the season for me, without a shadow of a doubt. Even the mauling that we took off Leeds away, off Sheffield Wednesday at home, we just looked totally out of sorts.
Especially after talking with Andy Campbell last week.
Sorry?
Especially after talking with Andy Campbell last week, saying that it's obviously 9 cup finals. We want 11 players that are going to run through walls. And at the weekend, I felt there wasn't one.
No, there was no commitment, there was no desire. We looked sluggish. They were sharper than us. They wanted it more. And I couldn't understand. I just couldn't understand the team that he picked. I didn't really get the grips of the formation that we were trying to play. But then again, we were pulled all over the place. We were pathetic, really pathetic.
Steve, what's your views?
It was bad, wasn't it? I think it was probably the worst one I've seen in. You're looking over 10 years for me.
I was hoping you started off with I'd have walked out after 30 minutes.
As soon as I saw that front three for them, I said to you, lads, I saw the front three for them and I thought, Jesus Christ. I mean, it was AU, Gallagher and Brewster. That's a Premier League front three right there. It's a Premier League front three. And we had, as I picked 2 out the back 4, I don't know why I picked Sean. I really don't. Where was McCoody? Was he on the bench?
Sick, apparently. He was supposed to be sick. Wasn't even on the bench.
And then Friends at left back. Oh God! I mean, you say these are train lines behind me. He looks like a very slow freight train at times. I mean, when he fell over in the first 5 minutes, you thought, "Nah, writing's on the wall here. They're going to run us ragged." And within 20 minutes after that, they were 3-0 up, and you just thought, "Jesus wept. It can't get any worse than that."
One of the first things I noticed while watching it, the shape and structure. It's like we had all that time to sort things out.
3 weeks.
Work out a proper shape, structure, how we're going to play. And I feel players still felt they didn't know where they were playing or what they were doing in that role.
There was just no shape, was that all?
I felt players still seemed lost, as if like to say, are we meant to be here? Am I meant to go there? Am I meant to do this? There was no communication. Like I heard you, where we were talking in the group chat between ourselves and saying there's no desire to go and want the ball. Not one player wanted it.
No one cared, did they? It didn't look like one of them players on that pitch was bothered about the badge that was over on the left-hand side of their shirt. None of them cared, which is really sad because you've got one lad who's fighting for a contract in Clayton. You've got another one up front who's supposedly fighting for a contract in Gestead. Couldn't get a cow's ass with a banjo. It was that right-hand side was so weak. He recognised that at half-time when you bought Jed Spence on. We were just so lopsided. And Swansea knew it because every time we tried to rectify one side, they went to the other and they just put AU on either side and they were just running as ragged. And I was glad for half-time, to be honest with you. It really just couldn't get any worse than it was.
I think the first goal summed it up for me. Sorry, John. The first goal summed it up for me. When you watch it back, he's been brilliant all year. Howson's been fantastic. But when you watch him, I'm not being funny. My 5-year-old could have caught him. Like, my 5-year-old would have been faster
I
than
could have caught him.
Howson. And I'm not being funny. I think, John, you mentioned it in our group chat, and you said that, I think you said something along the lines of, it looks as though Ayala wasn't the only one who didn't stick to the training plan, because there wasn't just Howson who was blowing. George was blowing. I mean, he's been blown for 4 or 5 years. McNair was, I don't know what McNair was doing. Gee, I mean, it was an absolute shambles. And when you look at the substitutions, I think he kept a strong bench. The only way I can justify Woodgate's starting 11 was you can make 5 subs. He's probably thought, hold on to it, and then put an attacking lineup on. But you've got to make the changes at a minimum.
We haven't got time to hold on anymore.
Sorry,
we had
Matt
9 games.
He kept on saying it was a 9-game season, so why didn't he just go for it?
Yeah,
it was no logic in it whatsoever.
It was very, very risky to do that, Jamie. It was really risky, and it backfired big time. Steve touched on it, and what disappointed me the most was that when we conceded that first goal, I didn't see any Borough player on that pitch angry and G. It was accepted, and that's not good enough. It's not
why I think we conceded
the very basic. The very basic has got to be commitment and desire of the players. They might lack quality. They might be up against a better opposition, but you've got to match them for determination, effort, and we just didn't have that. Didn't have that at all.
We could have been 2-0 down before they scored them first 2 goals. They had a 1-1 that hit the crossbar, and they had another one that was off about 5 yards off the goal. Could have been 2-0 down before they scored the first 2.
The only player I felt sorry for, sorry Phil, the only player I felt sorry for there was Stojanovic, keeper. Yeah. Because he couldn't do a thing. He literally looked in front of him. You could see him after that. When he couldn't say was it the penalty from... he just waved his hands, and he just thought, what have I got in front of me? Like, no players were just looking at each other thinking, do we just wait for half time and then go in, or have we just gave up now? Or it was scary how a team that was so close to the relegation zone as we are basically threw the towel in after half an hour.
Well, as soon as that first goal went in, for my liking, the first goal went in, and it was just like, that's it, heads are down. Nobody wanted to say, right, lads, we start now. We need to pick ourselves up. Nobody wanted to go and have a go at Jonny Howson for not running back. Nobody wanted to have a go at Dale Fry for not coming out of position to try and cover. A centre half, you cover your right back. If he's been done, you cover your right back.
If that was like Alala or Ledbetter, he'd be bollocking him. But friend, he just didn't want to know because his head's half out his backside himself. He didn't know if he's coming or going. Basically.
Well, the thing is, people say friend's a leader.
It's not.
I don't see it. I haven't seen you since you got given the captain's armband.
No.
For me.
He doesn't even know what he's doing himself.
No.
Well, you look at all the goals, and they were really pathetic, weren't they? You know, I mean, the first
really
one, the first one, ball played around Howson, and the guy retrieved it, and Howson jogged back. Give the guy plenty of time to choose what to do. You know, the second goal.
He slipped on the edge of the 18-yard box.
Shot and lost his marker, and then he turned his back on the ball. And then obviously the penalty. Jesus, the penalty. I mean, it was a pathetic challenge, my friend. What was the worst 45 minutes of football this season?
It was all summed up for me in the water break. I think we were 2-0 down in the water break, and I seen a manager that just decided to dig holes in the floor. He was looking at the floor. He had his hands in his pockets. We were 2-0 down at the water break, and not one word was said to them players. I watched it back a couple of times thinking, did he actually put his arm around someone? But they all come over for a bottle of water, and he just looked at them. There was no desire from the manager, and I think that's where the performance come from. I think he was void of ideas from the start. It all comes from the manager. From the start of I don't think the fear performing for him, and I think that's ultimately why we ended because I just don't think that Woodgate actually had the squad. They looked at him and they just didn't believe in his ideas.
Gosh,
there were certain ones.
Where does a player's pride come into this? You know, where does it?
I don't think there's any. Woodgate was coming out about pride and passion, but I don't think he put that across to any of those players. See, for me,
how do you even start half them players? Or I just
for me, if I was the manager, I would want you. He clearly seen that Howson right in front of him. It's an empty stadium, and not once did we hear on that audio. He should have railroaded Howson in front of the audience. Yeah, you shouldn't railroad your players, but there was nothing, like you said, not one person, not even the captain and George Friend, come across and went, "Come on, we've got this totally wrong." And then we were 2-0 down because we were still just looking at ourselves. Penalty, that just showed why George Friend's finished at the club. He should do the right thing and just hand his captaincy back in.
We shouldn't even
also look at, like, we've got another local lad playing. I know he's only young and he's one of the youngest lads in the team, but surely, like John said there, where's the pride of the players got to come into it? Surely Dale Fry stood there going, "This is my
he's a liability."
We tried Dale Fry as captain at Bristol City, and it was just too big for the lad. He's just not ready.
No, even if you haven't got the captaincy armband on, I'm still stood there. Even if I was 14-year-old, I'd be stood on that pitch, and you could put a brush, and I'd give anybody a bollocking.
No, they're not prepared to do that.
Did he? He didn't look bothered himself, just jogging back. He's had a nightmare of a season.
I don't know what your thoughts are on. I listened to the commentary, and I thought the commentary team even was coming up with enough excuses, like they were part of it.
It's
blaming it was too hot. It was too hot. It was too windy. The sun was
still in the game. The 3-0 down at home half time.
It's too hot. Come on, Maddo. It's Middlesbrough, not Magaluf. Behave yourself.
That Swansea team travelled 500 miles, and they looked way fresher. They look like they drove 2 minutes down the road to the stadium. Dale Fry come from Park End. He looked like he come from Swansea.
Well, the worrying thing was they set off Saturday morning. They set off Saturday morning, and they looked fresh as a daisy. They looked up for it. They looked ready. They knew 3 points would put them sixth, obviously before the 3 o'clock games, and they were focused and they were ready. We looked like we turned up for a Friday night down the Bongo, all hung over, and we'd all shared 3 cans of Red Bull out the back and a couple of paracetamol and thought, right, out to school.
He got away with it big style. No, with being no crowd in there.
Yes. I think it wasn't just the defence. It was power. It was even going forward. How many chances did we have? We didn't hit the target. Nemecha, since the first time I saw him, I think it might have been, was it Tottenham away? Maybe it's a game before Tottenham away. He pointed out he's not a footballer. He is not a footballer. I don't know what he is, but he's not a footballer.
He's not even Instagram.
He brings. I think it was probably his best game, and that's saying something. Like, he was terrible.
Was it a shot?
Gusted, I might take a bit of flack at you. He wasn't very good, but Gusted needs a striker next to him. Yeah, Gusted's best days were with Jordan Rhodes, with a striker next to him, not playing with these two, attackers that drop back in Coulson and Nemecha. He needs a striker. Like I say, like a Jordan Rhodes, a David Nugent, someone like that. That's the type of footballer he needs next to him. So Gusted's an easy target, and he missed a couple of headers. But going forward as well, set pieces. We tried the same corner every single time. Do they not have any creativity in the team? Do they not talk and come up with ideas?
There's enough creative players in the team to do it. Like, if you had the likes of Tavernier, even Saville.
Ravel Morrison's on the bench.
You know what I mean?
There is no way that our squad of players should be fourth from bottom of the championship.
No chance.
And only fourth from bottom by 2 goals. There's no way that squad of players should be down there. And hopefully we won't see any more performances like we did on Saturday.
Just cross. Steve, just before I come to you to find out what Twitter reactions were, how did everyone find getting on the system? All right? Straight on?
I had no issues. I happily told people on here last week, people online, any issues come to me, I'll show you how to do it. I talked to a couple of you lads to how to get on properly. And I think the majority of people got on pretty fine, pretty all right. I mean, I think there was an issue with the audio at first, but everybody heard those comments about Magaluf. So yeah, I think everything was absolutely fine.
I wish mine didn't work. I wish it never worked.
I bet Dave from Doggy got his money's worth for his free.
Obviously, reckon this didn't work, and he had his projector ready to roll, didn't he?
So Steve, Stay over to you about the Twitter. What was the reaction on Twitter from the end of the game? I know you put your tweet out.
I mean, it wasn't even just from my tweets. I mean, I sat and read Twitter. I didn't really watch the second half. I'll be quite honest. I didn't really watch it. It was on, but there was a lot of flack for Woodgate. There was a lot of flack for the players. I got a few obviously views after the game. Best one I probably got was from Jeff Patterson. And they say most was know Jeff. They say Jeff goes along with the 12-man also away game, so most was know Jeff. They say even he picked up his bewildering selection, fighting like a fight, scary defending. Woodgate saved his big guns for the last 20 minutes to try and nick the game. You know, as we've said, because the management know the best formation. I didn't even know what formation we played, so I guess it's as good as mine. He said about the next two games as well. Anything less than 3 points in the next two away games, and he fears the writing's on the wall. But if we got to the point where it's going to be a bit further than that, do we need 2 wins? We don't know. It depends what the teams do around us. But it was pretty much the same going round. Everybody picked on the team selection. Was it drawn out of a hat? Did you have did you have a bet with Leo before the game? Who could get the most grief after the game? It was just as one person picked up on Nemecha. I didn't notice Nemecha much in the game at all. I know you're always been a standout, but I didn't watch him at all. Nemecha. The only thing I saw him doing the whole game was a foul. For someone that's
should have been sent off for that. That was a sending off. That in the corner.
Yeah, very lucky, by the way.
That play for Swansea as well. He should have been set up, but it was pretty much the same as everybody said the same as us. Pretty much exactly. Everybody was just so disappointed. It was really bad, and I think it's, as I say, it's probably the worst performance of the season at the worst possible time.
It was an absolute bizarre lineup, though, wasn't it? I mean, with the forward lineup, Nemecha.
No logic, that's all.
I can understand Gusted's taking part because of
last couple of games.
Well, I know, but the last couple of games are 3 months ago. But he can give you something. But Nemecha totally baffled me. Absolutely, he's shown nothing. He's shown nothing since this club, and it totally baffled me that he was included in the starting 11.
Yeah.
I was.
Still can't get over it.
It was mad.
Right, lads. So, from the very poor performance at home at the weekend, we had the breaking news today. I know if people are listening to this on the podcast later on the week, it was the breaking news that Jonny Woodgate got sacked, and straight away they appointed Neil Warnock. So I want to know what your thoughts are of that news straight away. I'll go straight to you, Josh, because I know you've got a nice rant on this.
No, I think it's an absolute. I'm hoping that he does really well, Neil Warnock. He would have been one of my choices after, say, Pulis. Or I think
when we talk about in the pod,
he's obviously, if Pulis is a dinosaur, this bloke is even older than that. But I think that Neil Warnock has different ideas. He's had 8 promotions. Obviously, he's never done it in the Premier League, but I think at the moment we need to survive in the Championship. We have 8 games. We need a leader. We've been on about on the pitch, off the pitch, just in the club in general. I think it's a perfect appointment. Hopefully, he can hit the ground running when we need him to. The next 2 games are massive. If I always said if we ever fell into the relegation zone again, we wouldn't get out. Luckily, the results kept us out on goal difference. That's still out for me, and then hopefully he gets a result. Woodgate, for me, I wanted the lad to do really well. obviously you want somebody local, someone who knows the club. We had a personal event with him. Obviously, the full backroom staff expressed how passionate they were, but I don't think that ever come across onto the pitch. I think we've seen it for 90 minutes at Luton, but even that game, it showed our flaws. We conceded 3. We've got to get a consistent team. Obviously, Warnock's known for his 4-4-2. That's what the majority of Borough fans have screamed out for. Just we've got Fletcher, Sombalonga, give them a partner each. I think the suit partners. All our strikers suit playing with a partner. We haven't got a natural big man who plays on his own and wants to be up there on his own. Even, like you say, if Warnock picks Gusted because he's had him previous clubs, then Gusted has always worked with a partner. And we've got to hit the ground running on Saturday. And I think all the games now is on Saturday. I think the result, it's got to go our way, or I think we'll be too far gone already, even with him in charge.
Al, are you happy with the appointment?
Yeah, I am. I echo what Josh says. I'm a big I love Woodgate as a footballer. We met him personally, and I thought he was a cracking lad. But sadly, was it 9 wins in 30 odd games? The writing's on the wall. Personally, I think what's done him, it was obviously the couple of results that we had before lockdown. Gibson's given him. He's a very loyal man, Gibson. He's given him all of lockdown. Gibson will have looked at that team sheet. He gets at the same time that we do, and even he must be looking and going, I've paid £15 million for Sombalonga. He's on the bench. I've paid £7 million for Fletcher. He's on the bench. I've brought Ravel Morrison in. He might as well be a ball boy. He's got to be looking at that bench, and he's looking at that. But I think the biggest thing that done Woodgate, I think, was that there were no fans at the game. What you got to think is Gibson sat there, and the camera panned to him at the beginning of the game, and he was with his family, and it panned to him at the end, and he was on his own. He's sat above the dugout. He can hear. There's no one there. He can hear everything. He can't have heard the things that he wanted to hear. He obviously can't have heard any fight. There was nothing there. There just wasn't anything there. And I think that's probably a big thing that's done him. I think Warnock's probably the only one that would give us any confidence. I can't think of another manager that would give me confidence of getting out with it with 8 games to go.
John, before I come to you, we'll go to Phil, but we'll get the Twitter polls when I ask you yours, just to see how the fans thought about it. So, Phil, your reaction to the big news, where were you? What were you doing? Did your phone go mental?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I was quite shocked, to be fair, but obviously I was happy with the appointment. I just think we talked about in the pod months back. I just think he could have come out earlier. Do you know what I mean? After the game, even when was it in the pod that we were on about? It was at Christmas time.
Around Christmas time, yeah.
Yeah, we were on about it, but I just think he's obviously got the pedigree. He'll bring the belief back to the lads. I just think, yeah, it's a really good appointment. And then people are saying, is it a little bit late? But in my eyes, I don't think it is, because there's still 8 games to go, a lot of points, and just put the belief back in the lads and play the right squad. But it shows you the pictures at the end. The pictures just speak for itself. Everyone's happy. Everyone looks like they want to play for him, and he'll bring the belief back to him. And I'm just glad Gibbo's come in and appointed him, basically, because if not, I think our season would have been over. Just a ticking time bomb, basically, with him. But he did himself no favours, Woodgate, obviously, by playing that squad. Saturday was just suicidal, really, and just let the club down and the fans. Obviously, Gibbo bringing Neil in, it's obviously a big boost, but we need it, don't we? We shouldn't even be in this position anyway, but we are, aren't we? But it is what it is, isn't it?
Aye. So, JD, you want to give us the Twitter poll question and answers, and then give us your verdict on the Neil Warnock appointment?
Yeah, I asked on Twitter, I asked people to vote on whether they thought that appointing Warnock, would they be more confident of avoiding relegation. And there was a hell of a turnout, and 93% of those who voted said that they're more confident now of avoiding relegation than they would have been if Woodgate remained in charge. I'm also a bit disappointed that it didn't work out for Woody, because I would have liked it too, but it's been a difficult season. We had that spell over Christmas and New Year where I thought things had turned around and we could have went on from that. But he played a system then that worked, but he changed it and abandoned it. It seemed odd. But today he got the sack and we brought in Warnock. My only fear is that we've only got 8 games left. I hope it's not too late. 8 games, 24 points. I think we need a minimum of 9 or 10. It's a tough call, but I'm more confident now of avoiding relegation. With Warnock in charge, his track record in the Championship is phenomenal. He's not everybody's favourite person, but I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. I don't want to or have to like the manager. I just want him to help my club and make the team do well. And his like you said, his track record speaks for itself. So I read Woodgate's sort of parting message, and it was it must have been difficult. It's his hometown club. It's difficult for him, but he was sort of modest enough to say that things hadn't worked out. But now we start afresh. We've got 8 games, 8 massive games. This club cannot afford relegation. It can't afford it, and that's why Gibbo's acted when he did. He could have done it earlier, I suppose, but we had the lockdown, and it might have been seen as a bit harsh during the lockdown when our last game was a win at Charlton. But we've got 8 games. Gibbo's acted, and I just hope that Warnock can instill some confidence into players, because we're too good of a squad to be in the position that we're in. But the table doesn't lie, despite what the previous manager said. The table doesn't lie.
We live, boy.
So, Steve, before I ask you your opinion, just Facebook people that are watching, if you just want to give us your point of view, get it in the comment section. Dally will read it out after Steve's give us his verdict of what he thinks of Woodgate's goodbye message, and then obviously the appointment of Neil Warnock.
I was gutted for Woodgate. I really was. I thought we turned the corner with him. But I say, when you've got a win ratio of 21%, it's not going to work. Is it? You can't wait 4 games and then win the 5th one. You just can't. Cracking appointment. I say, we mentioned November, December. If Woodgate needs any help, he'd be the guy bringing above him to help him. He's got the experience to do so. Look at his backroom staff as well. We say bringing Kevin Blackwell and Big Ronnie Jefferson as well. It screams discipline, doesn't it? One thing that squad's lacking is discipline. So,
could they have brought anybody better in?
Than Warnock, no. Not at this present time, no. Because right now, it doesn't matter about playing style or anything like that. It's results. Right now, with 8 games to go, we need 3 or 4 wins. And we've now got a manager that can tell us that team, right, you're going to do what I say. If you don't, so there's the door. It's either sink or swim now. You've got to show you've got bottle. If you haven't got bottle, I don't need you. And I think Woodgate didn't have the backing behind him to say that to them. Where Warnock, he doesn't care. I mean, everybody's listening to him on Talk Sport. There's only one chairman he's come out with, I suppose, retirement for. It was Gibson. and he did it. So, yeah, I think it's a spot on appointment. I think they say that them three coming in with the help of Leo, say Danny Coyne stayed on. We've got full-time commitment to this club. One of the coaches that was part of this club wasn't fully committed to this club. We all know it was Robbie Keane. You know, we don't have to hide about it. He was a part-time coach. End of the day, he wasn't here for the 2 weeks during international breaks. He flew away with Ireland. He wasn't here. He wasn't here most of the time because we all looked at it on Instagram. He was here, there, and everywhere. We need commitment to this club, and I think that's what the coaching staff bring now. And I think that's what we'll get. That's what you'll get out of the players as well, because the lack of fitness on Saturday was scary, and you won't see that again. I guarantee you.
So, Dally, over to you. Is there many reaction on Facebook?
Yeah, we've had quite a few comments. Actually, it's really good. So we've had. It's just this bit. One of the comments I've just reading there was just imagine how toxic it would have been if there was fans in on Saturday at the Swansea game, as we touched on. We've had Bobsy dropped us a couple of messages just saying he was all for Woodgate after a local lads, Wilder and Smith, got promotion with Sheffield United and Aston Villa, but sadly it's never worked. So in his opinion, an old school manager will keep us up. We've got Richard Smith. I'm probably going to get slated for this, but I reckon a season in League One would make the team great again. I disagree with that, Richard. I think it's big teams have gone down and not come back. Look at Sunderland, look at Ipswich, Coventry, I suppose they've just got back up. Once you drop, look at Portsmouth, they dropped again. Lot of positivity about Warnock being the right man. Abraham Tannant, more confident with Warnock. I would have loved Woody to have worked, but it was just getting worse and just echoes really what we were saying. So just quite a lot of comments. Keep them coming, and I'll come back to them.
I don't think there's been for me, it was the perfect appointment in the fact that he's a player that we were on about earlier on. Our players might not have the same ability as teams that we're going to play. But I think with Warnock in charge, I think he'll get him to have more desire to want the ball, to have that more.
The best out of him, basically.
Yeah, he'll get the best out of him. He'll get you running through a wall. So you might not have the ability, but you'll have the desire to have the ball, to want to actually go and get the ball back and go and do a job.
Danny, just 11 players knowing what their role is. That's what we want, 11 players knowing what their role is within that team structure.
Yeah, I think you'll put square pegs in square holes again.
You love that saying, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I think we've missed it for the last 2 or 3 managers. There's been 2 or 3 managers that have fiddled around with our team too many times, where we've had decent players that play set positions, and then they're playing out of position. Why put a square peg in a round hole?
Yeah. Just stick
look
to
at the team on Saturday. If you look at the team on Saturday, it's Johnny Howson is a midfielder. There's right backs at the club. The right back plays at right back. Howson needs to go into midfield. There's left backs at the club. In like Coulson, everyone's raved about Coulson. He shouldn't be playing left midfield. He plays left back. George is finished. We need someone. We need somebody, a natural leader, to come in and say, right, you aren't good enough. He did it with Cardiff City. He picked 11. The squad that got promoted with Cardiff City was every week. It was more or less the same team. There was hardly any. He trusted 11 players, and then they were there to help them 11 players get through the season. That's what they did. That's what they did, and he kept the structure very much the same all the way through. We've got 8 games, and you need him to pick a side on Saturday and go, "This is my side for 8 games." Get round all 11 of them, tell them that they're going to play every week, and say, right, you've got to run through walls for me for 8 games. And the rest are there to top that up.
Yeah. And you say to the players that might not put it 100%. You say, if you don't put it 100% in, see that lad sat on the bench there, he wants your position. And if he's better than you on that day, he plays there from the next game, and you go back of the line. And for me, it's the most perfect appointment that we've had in the circumstances. Just a quick question, lads, before we move on to the Stoke City game. Do you think he'll stay after the 8 games if we stay up?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. I think he gave an interview about 2 or 3, maybe it's even 4 weeks ago, saying that he'd love to get to 1,500 games. He's 12 away from it. I think he'll get these 8 in, and I think he'll be. I think he can be sweet talked into staying.
Yeah.
It depends if we stay up, Dan. If we stay up, he might be offered the chance. But I don't know this.
Can I just put it out there? You know, the press conference, I think it was a little over a year ago, was this 5-year plan. Since that press conference, 2 people that were sat in them red seats have now left the club. Woodgate being one, Adrian Beverton being another. I think.
And Robbie Keane.
And Robbie, like the people that sat there, you know what I mean? And we need to seriously, in the summer, if and when we stay up, and look at and think, right, I don't want to see the chairman this summer. I think the last 3 times we've seen Steve Gibson in a summer, the following season has been an absolute travesty. There was Steve Gibson is best when Steve Gibson is quiet. People say, "Oh, I want Steve Gibson to come out and tell us what's happening with our club." All we need to know is that the club is running, and Steve Gibson will let that club run. We need in Warnock. Yes, we've got a leader. I would like us to appoint a manager that wants to be here long time and wants to build on something. I would love Warnock here, but we've all got to realise Neil Warnock is 71 years old. Obviously, Roy Hodgson's doing it, but Neil Warnock is a million miles from home. We all know that he goes on about his farm in Cornwall, and he does these stints at clubs. We need a manager now that we can go and build and then win promotion and then go on and build a team in the Premier League, a bit like what Wilder's done at Sheffield United. I don't see that in Warnock. That's my only worry with appointing a 71-year-old.
To be fair though, Josh, he did touch and say like he's wanted to work with Gibbo for years, and he even quoted. He said he only drove this far.
Yeah, but there's not a 5-year plan. There's no 5-year plan in a 75-year-old. And what we've got to think is he's always said about retiring to this farm near Bristol or in Cornwall.
Fair enough, mate.
He's made a thing of it that he didn't want to manage. I think that's why eventually he walked away in Cardiff. He's the right man to keep us up, but I hope that he doesn't.
See what happens after these 8 games, innit, and take it from there, innit? But we can only be happy that we've got him now. Do you know what I mean? So
that's that, boys. So big one, Warnock's first game is Stoke City away. They're 18th in the table on 43 points, 2 points above Borough. How do we see it going? We're going to go for predictions first. So, Phil, prediction for the weekend?
I'd take a point, 1-1.
Dally?
Not be enough for a point.
Yeah, I think it'll be 1 each, to be fair.
JD? The right team, with the first team, not the reserve team.
JD?
Again, I'll take a point. 2-2.
Good scoreline, that. He's rolled his dice again.
You know what dice he was rolling last week?
Wasn't far off. 3-0.
Yeah, to them.
Steve?
1-0. It's just got 1-0 Warnock. Masterclass all over it, hasn't it? It's just what Warnock does.
Don't take a good headline, that 1-0 Warnock.
Josh?
Yeah, I'll let Steve there. Anything but a win, and I think it's a really bad result.
Yeah. They'll fry 1-0, Josh.
I'll take any. Like he always says, a neb end on 90 minutes. I'll take anything as long as we could come away with 3 points.
A neb end.
I can't. Come on, we're live on Facebook. We can't really say what we want to say.
Yeah, he said there was a meme about saying that Rudy today. Imagine that Rudy 1-0. Shut a lot of people up. That.
I'll go for a Warren 0-0.
You'll never shut me up about Rudy.
Science.
What are you going 0-0?
0-0 draw.
Good prediction for you,
Being positive, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm being positive. Just play the right lineup and we'll be all right, won't we?
Positive. There's only me and Steve gone for a win.
I've been realistic.
Woodgate set out for a draw on Saturday and ended up 3-0 down at half time. Woodgate set out for a draw. Never go for a
He's
draw.
gone now, him. I don't even know who you're on about.
I don't know. There's 3 of them on here tonight, all gone for a draw. But may as well stand. I think you might have to go the road with him.
Gosh, it's not what we want. It's what we predict.
He can't
We're
count.
realistic. We're in the real world, son.
Real world.
I
am in the real world.
Josh has 4
What's
of us.
only one little bullet?
Oh, that, mate.
So, lads, anyway, team selection, would you... I was going to say, would you change it from Saturday, but...
No, stay the same. Stay the same. See what happens.
The match, I wouldn't even let him clean my boots, man. Never mind play up front with Rudy.
I think changes are inevitable, aren't they?
Yeah, massively.
Well, we don't have to worry about the formation, do we? We know it's going to be 4-4-2.
And centre mid's playing centre mids.
That's all it is.
We say that.
Two young lads on the wings. That's all. We said all the good performance was fun with them.
So does anybody want to have a little guess of who he'll play? Do you reckon he'll start Ravel Morrison?
I think he will. I think he will. Yeah. I think the only one who possibly keeps his place, really, possibly the goalkeeper, and he might play Adam Clayton. But
he'll play Lewis Wing. He will play because if you look at sorry, Dally.
No, yeah, go on.
If you look at his interview, I think he did a bit of analysis on it before the lockdown. It might have been the challenge game. He said, "I love Lewis Wing."
Yeah.
And for me, it'd be Wing and Clayton in the middle, won't it? One forward, one back. It's how Warnock plays for me.
You've got to hope McCurdy's back as well.
Yeah. I was going to say,
he just looks like a proper Neil Warnock centre back. Just a solid centre back. Yeah, who was the fellow at Sheffield United? Just a proper solid, big
Chris Morgan.
Yeah, just a hard tackling centre back, commanding. I think
as long as Lescott's not playing,
I think you'll see set pieces will be a big part of our game. You might see the Ryan shot and throw for one last game before he hasn't signed an extension, has he? So you might see that. Here's one for you. Do they talk Ireland into playing for a game?
I can't see it, mate. Not a chance.
No. Can't see it.
Nah.
He probably won't want him to play.
Even with the change of manager, I can't see the Ayala situation changing.
Nah. I hope he plays Brent Wilson on the bombing on. You know what I mean?
He's got to go Spencer Coulson and his fullbacks. He has to.
Yeah.
Dyke Steele.
Rudy and Fletcher up front.
Dyke Steele.
Not a chance.
So he's got to be Spencer Coulson, and he's got to go for 2 natural wingers.
Dyke Steele's got the legs of George Friend.
So lads, we've done our predictions. We're going to quickly nip back to Dally on Facebook.
Well, to oversee the structure of the club, keep a development system and coaching system that runs regardless, and a head coach coming in tweak but not overhaul. Warnock, just positive, saying that he, when he was at Rotherham, he had a little bit more time and they were in a worse position, but he kept them up. So he's an ideal person. So Kath Sykes has come on. So do you think these 4 players that have signed short-term contracts will sign longer ones with Warnock in? So I think it leads back to what we were talking about earlier, where do we think he'll stay? I think it'll be interesting if he does stay. Will you see the likes of Clayton stay, possibly Shotton? Are they his types of players?
Maybe so. Maybe with all the finances as well, depending on obviously staying up.
Yeah.
For me, them 4 players that signed short-term contracts, they've got to basically. If I was Warnock, I'd have said, fair enough, you sign a short-term contract for the next 4 weeks. You're playing for a contract now for 4 weeks. You've got 8 auditions now. Don't just say to them, you've got your short-term contract now. We'll give you another one in end of July. tell him you earn it now. You don't earn it now, you won't get one. End of. Because if they think they've got a contract coming, they might sit back, and you don't want that. You want the player. I mean, Clayton said before the Swansea game, he'll fight for a contract, doesn't matter where it is. I think it's time players like that have got to show it.
Auditions, you sound like X Factor again here.
The likes of Marvin Johnson and Ashley Fletcher, that are still young lads, really, in the footballing terms, they've got big contracts to pay, aim for, really, haven't they? Because obviously Johnny Howson's been around the block, so he's had his payday. Ayala's been around the block, he's had his paydays.
He's gone in.
Marvin Johnson and Ashley Fletcher, they haven't really been anywhere, really, have they?
No.
You know what? All this contract talk, it's irrelevant if we're in League One, because then our financial situation totally changes. We have to concentrate on staying up. That's it. The all and end all. Stay up, and then we can look at contracts. That's my opinion.
Get this 8-game season out of the way. That's
why I said don't offer him the contract now. Go play for it, and if it keeps us up, that's when you'll probably earn it. If you put in performances to send us down, you're not worthy of the contract, in my opinion.
It's the same with the manager, isn't it? If this is I'd love to for him to keep us up and then give it a go next season. That was be my an aim sort of thing for the summer, a natural leader going into a big next season and see where we are. I just hope that I was listening to his interview earlier on. I think he is just literally going to concentrate on these 8 games. I don't see any future talk. I think no contracts. I think he's just going to say, right, these set of players are here for 8 games. We've got an 8-game season, and everyone's actually having their audition now. Yeah. Everybody.
Just focus on 8 games, and that's it.
I agree, Josh. We can't plan for next year, not yet, because we don't know where.
All 9 players that are out of contract, I think, is it 9 players? All of them, we could say we want Johnny Howson, but if we go down, we all know Johnny Howson's not going to sign for this club. We all know all them 9 will leave. We will be in dire straits if we go down. We cannot afford to go down. A lot of money. Obviously there's all them rumours we're short of money. We're just not a massive fish in the Championship anymore, but we're comfortable, but we've got to stay in the Championship to be comfortable. Exactly. Big clubs have gone down, and they've shown that it may take 3 or 4 years to bounce back, and I don't think Gibson has ever put that in his plans.
Exactly, Josh. I totally agree. It's there are plans in place, but only if we remain in the Championship. That goes out of the window because our revenue severely diminishes if we get relegated. So it's an 8-game plan. That's all it is, and then see what happens when the season's over.
We all know we can finish 4th bottom in. Obviously, it's not May now, but at the end of the season, we can finish 4th bottom. But there is nothing saying that we can't gain promotion next season. Nothing. That's what the Championship is. It doesn't matter where you finish in May. It's where the following August, once you start again, anybody in that Championship can take it by storm.
If we see like can be, and that is a massive, massive club. So if we drop into League One, it could be catastrophic for this club.
Yeah.
And on that, lads, we've had the predictions for the weekend. We've just like a massive thank you to all the people watching on Facebook tonight, and all the people that get involved on Twitter and get at us with the questions.
Can I end on a laugh? Just something to cheer you all up.
Go on then.
It's not Borough related, but David Luiz just signed a new contract with Arsenal.
Wow. Okay, now.
There's someone that's having a living.
Thank God he's not coming here.
There you go.
He leads a chat.
There you go.
Lads, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Red Army as well. Red Army Radio, Red Army TV, doing a great job for us, making us being able to do this every week. Talk Borough. Big thanks to you lot showing up again.